To Ecuador's capital, Quito, where pro-Assange protesters have clashed with police following the arrest of the WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange in London last week. The protesters claim President Lenin Moreno sold Assange out to the United States. Moreno's currently in Washington, where he's accused the whistleblower of hosting and coordinating hackers at the Ecuadorian embassy back in London. The president revoked Assange's citizenship last week. That led to the arrest of the Australian national in the embassy, of course. Assange was convicted by a UK court then of breaching bail and has also been charged in the US with conspiracy to hack a government computer. Assange faces possible extradition to the US over it. But civil rights groups say some of these charges are based on actions that any journalist might take. Next's Caleb Maupin reports this arrest has raised fears then for freedom of the press.
What message does it send to the world? That's the concern shared by the American Civil Liberties Union, the very body set up to defend civil freedoms in the United States.
The indictment is troubling nonetheless. It characterizes as part of a criminal conspiracy journalistic activities that are not just lawful, but essential to press freedom.
Now, much of the indictment focuses on hacking and conspiring with Chelsea Manning. However, it's this bit that has everyone talking.
It was part of the conspiracy that Assange and Manning took measures to conceal Manning as the source of the disclosure of classified records to WikiLeaks, including by removing usernames from the disclosed information and deleting chat logs between Manning and Assange.
So, trying to protect the identities of anonymous leakers and whistleblowers is now considered to be illegal. Well, if that's the case, American mainstream media should be in huge trouble.
Intelligence sources tell NBC News.
Source tells NBC News.
Law enforcement and Democratic sources telling CNN.
Unidentified sources.
2 sources with links to the counterintelligence community.
According to anonymous Washington Post source.
Take this article from the Washington Post.
The Washington Post has obtained transcripts of 2 conversations President Trump had with foreign leaders, one with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto and another with Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. The transcripts were prepared by the White House but have not been released. The Post is publishing reproductions rather than original documents in order to protect sources.
So, time to bring in the Department of Justice. It's a criminal conspiracy to cover up a leaker, right? Or take this one. This one turned out to not actually be true. It looks like somebody in the government is actually spreading disinformation. Who could that be? Well, CNN is protecting its source.
We have anonymous sources. We protect them for real reasons. So the information that is important to the public can get out.
And since Donald Trump has taken office, Hollywood has decided to celebrate the heroic press that challenged the Nixon administration back during the Vietnam War.
Do you have the papers?
Not yet. The Times has 7,000 pages detailing how the White House has been lying about the Vietnam War for 30 years.
You're talking about exposing years of government secrets.
Is that legal?
What is it you think we do here for a living, kid?
So, if you follow the logic of the indictment, Tom Hanks' character is not a heroic journalist at all. In fact, he's a criminal. And that points to another big question. A number of voices have spoken up and said that it's okay to persecute and punish Julian Assange because, quote, he is not a real journalist. But here's the thing. The First Amendment protects everyone, whether you're labeled as a real journalist or not. This is how the courts have explained it in the past.
As the Supreme Court has accurately warned, a First Amendment distinction between the institutional press and other speakers is unworkable.
The Ninth Circuit really believed that the world has changed and that everybody should be entitled to First Amendment protections. So under that logic, of course Julian Assange should be protected. The fact that he's hiding that name, he's protecting his source. That's what journalists do. He's a publisher. WikiLeaks is an organization that publishes truthful, classified information that's in the public interest. And under that definition, he's definitely a journalist.
So at this point, the U.S. Department of Justice is telling us that Julian Assange may have done a bad thing by trying to hack into top-secret government files. Well, nobody disputes that. But the bigger issue may be what he actually was able to reveal. WikiLeaks made public a lot of information that angered powerful people, and it seems that now they want him to pay. Caleb Maupin, RT, New York.